Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 8 of Revell's Vasa. Scale is 1 to 150. In this part, I'm going to be starting the rigging. Now, the rigging is going to be done in numerous videos, so each video will have a different part number. So this will be part 8 of the video, but part 1 of the rigging, if you see what I mean. So it's quite a long process, so let's jump into this and see how well I get on. First of all, I have to decide which cord I'm going to be using. Will I use the cord that's supplied with the kit, or will I use something else, my own stuff? In this case, I'm going to be using a combination of both. Now, this cord that comes with the kit is quite good. There's nothing wrong with it. But the only problem is they never give me enough. So I always use my own. So I've got 2 bobbins here, obviously, a cord. Now, I purchased this from a hobby shop, a shipbuilding hobby shop. And the reason why I bought them from a hobby shop and didn't buy just thread, for instance, this stuff is already been pre-coated and treated so it doesn't fray, bobble up and go a bit fuzzy when you're working it. Sometimes the stuff that comes with the kit does do that, and you would have to coat it in a beeswax or something like that just to stop it from doing that. So as you can see there, I've got 2 different types of colour, and I've also got different thicknesses as well. But I'll go through that as I do the rigging. Now, I believe that anyone could do rigging. It looks a bit daunting, but the most important thing is have a look at your model and pick a starting point. It's that simple. And for this model, I'm going to be working from the inside out. So on the deck, I'm going to be doing all the inside work before moving on to the bowsprit and things like that. Now, the reason for that is because on a smaller ship like this, you're going to run out of room very quickly here, where I'm pointing, and trying to get your hands in and damaging the work you've already done. So it's better just to secure the rigging to its anchor points now while you've got a bit of room. The first thing to do is securing all the rat lines that are going to be running up the mast, and these get anchored onto the deck, particularly onto the side part of the deck here. If I zoom in there, you can see I've already got 2 done, just to show you how they look when they're actually on. Now, each one is secured to the little stanchion pins inside the hull here. This is the little strip that I placed on earlier on with all the tiny little pins on. And this is one of the reasons why it's important to do it now, then wait until later on and say you put in your shrouds. So how I do this is very, very simple. I take a piece of the cord, and first of all I make a slip knot, like so. I then angle the ship so I can get into it, and this is the real tricky part. I take the slip knot and push it underneath the pin on the part that's nearer to the deck. So there's 2 parts of the pin. There's the top part and the bottom part. So I'm pushing it underneath the little pin. It's quite delicate work. You have to be careful, and it can be quite tricky to do. It takes a lot of patience and perseverance to do every single one. But having tweezers or something you can push the cord into a position does actually help. And once it's in position, I hold it taut like that. And make sure that you do this. Don't let it go loose or it'll pop out and you have to do it again. And then I'll separate the 2 ends and just simply pull it down and tighten it up. Don't tighten it up too much or you end up breaking the part off and you'll have nothing to secure it to. So just gently down to the pin. Then once that's done, I'll just put in a little bit of cement. Now this cement will not bond the actual cord, but it will stiffen it up and stop it from moving. I will then double knot it. So it's just a simple little knot on the cord down to the pin, so similar to this slip knot but a permanent knot, and this just secures it even further. And once it's in place, I just measure up to the length of the mast and cut off from the actual bobbin itself. it's more cord than I need, but you want room to tie it onto other parts or put in your dead eyes, whatever you're going to be doing with it. The little tail at the end of the knot, the loose end, I will possibly use that to coil it around the pin to make it for the rope lag at the end of the ties. I may do this, I may not. This part is extremely difficult to do on this small scale model. So I may do it. May have a go and see how well I get on. But there's a good chance I just won't do that and cut off the tail end instead. And I'll do this for every single pin. Some of them I'll use, some I won't, but I won't know until I go through. So the next part is placing in some of the stays. Now this is actually a few days later because it took quite a while to do the other part of the rigging. You can see how much cord I've got left from that particular stage. So if you can see it here, you can see all the lines dangling down now. That's every stay sanction being done. As I say, some will be used, some won't, and the ones that I won't be using, I'll be cutting them off, and that will act as just a coily rope on the peg itself. I've got a couple more to do on the bowsprit there, but I won't be doing them until I actually do the actual part of the rigging. So it's onto these stays. Now I've got three main ones to do. Now what I've got here is a threader for a sewing needle. This is a handy little kit for doing rigging that you can find in any sewing kit. And all I'm doing is passing the metal part through the hole of the stay. And then I simply take a bit of cord. This is a thicker bit of cord I'm using here. Place it inside the metal part, then simply pull it through, the thread through, or the cord I should say, and that's the part of the stay threaded. It's as simple as that. A lot of people will try and thread a needle and put it through and things like that. This can be very difficult, but if you get a needle threader like that, it makes it so much easier to do. So as I said, there's three to do, and if I just show you the instructions, what part I'm doing, it's these main runs I'm doing here, hence why the cord is a bit thicker, because these are the main parts of the rigging, and which require a thicker rope on the ship. So the next is the same again, but this time I'm placing in two parts of cord into the one hole. Now, because I'm doing this, I have to make the hole slightly bigger. So I'm just putting my knife in and twisting it around to make the hole bigger. And it's the same concept again. I'm just placing the cord into the metal loop of the threader, then pulling both sets of thread or cord through to rig the actual stay. So this is what I'm looking for here. And then I'll loop it around the stay to go into the opposite hole, and so the cord is getting wrapped around the opposite hole. What I'm doing here is just tying off a knot, and just to stop the hole from slipping out. I will secure it with a little bit of cement as well, but this is just double added because this is the part that's going to be tied on to the actual deck itself. And now that I've got the stay connected to the cord, I need to find out how much I need. So I'm simply going to be measuring this up from the position where the stay is going to be to the opposite mast, so on the diagonal. And again, I'm leaving about 1 centimetre to 2 centimetres free so that I've got enough cord to work with while I put it all into position. So working on the next one, I'm just tightening it up on the stay, and then I'll be looping it through onto the bottom part of the stay. Hopefully the camera can make that out. It's a bit tricky because they're very small, and the camera probably has difficulty picking this up. Yeah, it does a little bit. So I've got my two tail ends that I'm going to be tying off, and of course the main run as well. And as you can see, I'm just using the cement just to stiffen everything up to make sure it doesn't come loose. And then using my threader once more to just loop the cord around. I thought I'd show it the second time because the first time didn't really show it too well. So this is the main part of the cord and looping around this time. I'm just putting in the metal loop, pulling it through, and then I'll be pulling it onto the stay itself. So basically what you're looking at is the plastic bit, the stay part, and the cord looping around it to form the mainstay. Doesn't really matter how you do this part, you know, as long as you're happy with the look of it. But this is how it's formed. As you can see, there are one long piece and two little pieces to tie it off with. And then all that's left to do is to tie this part of the rigging to the mast. I'm working on the main mast, as you can see there, just so it's easier to pick up on the camera. And just simply placing it in position and tying it off using just a normal standard knot. I've already placed in the format. You can probably just see the edge of the screen. Once it's in position, again, I'll secure it with a little bit of cement just to stiffen it up. And that's the first part of the rigging complete. So I've anchored all the rat lines to the side of the ship and started putting in the main rigging frame. So the three main cords that are going in. So there's one for the bowsprit, one for the foremast, and one for the main mast. As I say, you need a lot of patience to do this, but it can be done if you've never done it before. It is easy enough. It looks complicated, but your main issue is where do you start? Just pick your starting point. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and you'll be kept up to date not only in this build, but all my future builds as well. Hit that like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.